You're here because you need to learn SharePoint and you don't want to watch 20 different short tutorials scattered around YouTube. You want the full story in one place. Today, in this single video, I'm going to take you from a complete beginner, someone who perhaps doesn't even know how to log in yet, to a confident SharePoint site owner. To make this fun and easy to follow, we're going to build a complete intranet site together for a fictional time travel agency called ChronoTours. By the end of this video, you'll know how to build beautiful pages, manage documents without getting lost in folders, create tracking lists, and secure your data so the wrong time travelers don't see it. I have provided timestamps below so you can navigate to different sections. Let's get started. Before we jump into the time stream, we need to cover the basics. What is SharePoint and what do we need to access it? First, access requirements. You can't just buy SharePoint at the App Store. It's a cloud-based tool meant for organizations. To use the version that we're showing today, you need three things: an internet connection, a modern web browser like Microsoft Edge or Google Chrome, and most importantly, a Microsoft 365 work or school account. If you're logging in with a personal email, you won't see the full SharePoint. You need a license, usually provided by your company or school IT department. To access SharePoint, go to the Microsoft 365 Copilot app and get signed in. You can just go to office.com and it will get you here, then sign in with your work or school account. Once you're logged in to the Microsoft 365 Copilot app, you're going to have something that looks like this. Go towards the bottom where you have apps, just go ahead and click on it. You're going to see all the different Microsoft apps that you have access to with your account. SharePoint is right here for me, so I'm just going to go ahead and click on this and open it up. So why do we have OneDrive, Microsoft Teams, and SharePoint? Think of our time travel agency. OneDrive is your backpack. It's for your personal drafts, your lunch, your notes. It's private to you. Teams is the radio. It's for real-time chatter and quick meetings. Hey, watch out for the dinosaur. SharePoint is the HQ. It's where files go when they're official. It's structured, permanent, and accessible to the whole team. So let's build our HQ. We start here on the SharePoint start page. To create our headquarters, I'll be clicking Create Site in the top left-hand right here. Notice that we'll have two different choices. We have our team site connected to Microsoft Teams, meant for working together on files, and we have a communication site meant for broadcasting news to a large audience, like a corporate newsletter. For the ChronoTours HQ, we're going to be collaborating on missions, so I want to go choose Team Site. Now, SharePoint will offer you various templates. They look nice, but I'm going to choose the standard team site. Why? Because templates come preloaded with a lot of clutter and generic content. By starting with the standard site, we're going to start with a clean slate. This ensures that you learn the core functionality of how SharePoint works, rather than just learning how to edit someone else's template. We want to build a foundation correctly. Let's go ahead and choose our standard team. At this point, we can preview the site, although there's not much to see there right now. So I'm going to go ahead and just click Use Template. This is where you give your site a name, and I'm just going to call this ChronoTours HQ. We can modify this later, and same thing with the site description. I'm not putting anything in here right now because I will also show you how to do this later. At this point, I can see there's an address to this, but I'm going to go ahead and just click Next. Now, here are some important settings. The privacy settings. Who is this for? So this is going to be for members. And if I drop down, you can see I can make it public so anyone in the organization can access the site. But I'm going to keep this private and I'm going to add people to join this team. Language is going to be English. I'm going to go ahead and create site. Now, as it's creating sites, you can add people. So you can either add site owners and members. Site owners have full control of the site content, theme, permissions, hub associations, and other site settings. And site members can edit and view the site content, including files, papers, list, and navigation. So really think what you want people to have permissions for. So I can go ahead and add people here. As I start typing in, their names come up and I can add them. This is where I choose if they're going to be an owner or a member. Now, I'll go again after I just add one person here. Later, I'll show you how you can still add more people and customize this. Let's hit Finish. Now we have our ChronoTours HQ SharePoint site set up. I want to just point out a couple things here. Now we have our different links right down here on the left-hand side. We can adjust these, and I'll show you how to do these later if you want to go across the top with the menu. But these are for this site. So it did create some pages. So if I go ahead and click on documents, you will see this is where we're going to be uploading our documents or creating new ones. I can go back to home. The search bar up here, notice it's search this site. So when I'm on this ChronoTours SharePoint site, it's going to be searching within this site. So I can go ahead and type something, and it will go, whether it be a page or a file, and it's going to go find it. Now I want to point out over here, we have the SharePoint start page. When I click on this, this brings me back to all my SharePoint sites. You can see that we have the ChronoTours HQ here. We have frequent sites here that are other ones that I'm connected to. Then at this point, I can go ahead and click on my ChronoTours HQ and go back to it. When I look at the SharePoint here, this is search in SharePoint. So this is going to be a much bigger search than when I'm on a specific site. All right, so let's go back to our ChronoTours HQ and let's start doing some editing. Let me just quickly explain what each of these links do. So home, this will take you back to the main landing page of your SharePoint site. We have conversations. Clicking this is going to open a Outlook inbox for your team. So this is where you can see emails sent to the group. We have our documents. This is where the files for your site are stored. It's that central place for your team to collaborate on, share, and edit documents. We have a notebook. This opens a shared OneNote notebook for your team to use as collaboration and note-taking. Pages. This section will allow you to view and manage all of the site pages that are part of your team's site. We have site contents. This gives you a view of all the contents on your site, including document libraries, lists, and other apps. We have the recycle bin. If you delete a file or item, it goes here first. You can come here to restore items you've deleted by mistake. And we have edit. This button allows you to modify the left-hand navigation menu itself, such as adding or removing links. Now, the first thing I want to point out is how can you add more people to this? So we only added one before. Notice in the top right-hand corner, we have where it says to members. If I click on this, this is going to show me the members that are here. I can change the permissions or even remove people from the group, but I can go ahead and add more people. So if I go ahead, type another person and give them member, I'll hit save, and now you'll notice that this gets updated to 3 members. The other thing I mentioned before was about changing the name of the site or just making some adjustments to the description. We're going to be going up to this gear, the settings gear, a few different times throughout this video. When I click on this, notice that we have site information. This is where we can change our site description. You can make any changes to the privacy access depending on what you want. So all those things that we did when we set up the site can be adjusted. Even when it comes to the look of this, if we go back up to this and go to the settings, what I want to point out to is this right here, change the look. Notice we have site branding and it's new. Later on this video, I'm going to show you how you can do some custom site branding. But right now, I'm just going to go ahead and click change the look. The first thing that I want to show you how you can make adjustments to this is the navigation. So right now it's on the left. If I click on navigation, I can click horizontal and now it moves across the top. I'm going to keep it here. So you can see that we have a mega menu or cascading. Right now I'm going to keep it cascading, but you can make changes to this as you want later. I'm going to hit save. Also notice if I go back to change the look, we have theme. So this is where you can pick a certain color theme. So right now it's in here. You can go ahead and pick different themes, and later on I'll show you how you can pick your own. After you pick any, go ahead and hit save. And maybe you want to have the header different. So if I click on header, you can see right now we're under compact. If I go to standard and you keep your eyes on the header, notice how it changes. I like a little bit more room like that, so I'm going to go ahead, hit save. And the last thing I want to just point out is the font. If you go here, you have a list of different fonts you can go ahead and add to this. And with the branding kit that I mentioned, you can actually upload your own font, and I'll talk about that as later. I'm just going to keep this as default, but maybe I'll do a change later on, and I'm going to hit save. The other thing I'm going to make a quick change to is the logo. One thing to note about the logo, this actually also works to bring you back to home. So this is a link. So if you just ever want to just click on this, it's going to bring you back to the home page. Now, if I want to change this to a custom one, we're going to go back to our settings and I'm going to go to change the look. And it's going to be under the header because that's where it is. We're going to go to design. You can see that we can make adjustments to the header, making change to the color here. We can even add an image to the header. I'm not going to worry about that right now. We have our font, but look down here, we have our logo. I'm going to go ahead and change the image. So at this point, we can go ahead and search for different ones. We could connect to our OneDrive web search. I'm going to click upload. So on my desktop here, I have a one right here inside my ChronoTours HQ folder. I'm going to choose this. I'm going to go ahead and add the image. So now this is going to be my logo. If I like it, I can go ahead and hit save. Now let's go to the heart of the SharePoint site, and that's the documents library here. Now, when you open up this page, you're going to see that you have some actions here that you can take from here. You can go ahead and create files right in here, or you can go ahead and upload them. Notice across the top here, we have create or upload. As soon as I go and click on this, look at all the options. I could create a brand new Word document, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, all of these things right in this place. When I go ahead and create this, everybody that is part of this team is going to have access to this. So you can also create folders. So if I wanted a folder for the 1990s or the 2000s or the 1490s, I can create all those folders. The other thing is I can upload. So I could go ahead and upload, or we can just simply drag files across and drop them in. You'll see that the upload is here, and then we have it that in our view, and we can make some adjustments to this. So let's say you've put together this PowerPoint about ChronoTours and you're just working from your desktop app. You can go ahead up to File. And what I want to point out is if we go to save this, notice you have quick access. So whether you're on PowerPoint, Word, Excel, or other Microsoft products, when you go to save, if you're connected to this site, so which I am, I can go ahead and save directly to there. So at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and hit save, and then we'll go back to the site and you can see how it's been added. So now I'm back in our documents library, and there I have the PowerPoint right here that I can go ahead and open up. Anybody on the team can open up and make changes to it. Now you can see I have 3 different documents in here now. If I take a look at modified by, you can see I created 2 of these, and now I have Ashton that created this VIP itinerary one that's been added to here. Now, I want to point out when you see these lashes here, that indicates that this is a new file. And the other thing I want you to notice as we hover over, notice that we get some more action. So if you can click on this, you can see all of these different actions that you can take. I'll come back to those in a bit. I want to point out this right here. So if I was going to go to maybe this one right here, this mission report, and click on this, I can make a message to someone in our group. So let's say I want to message Ashton here, and I want to give this as a message here. Does this look accurate? Please review. Notice that we also have Copilot in here, so I can insert a file summary with Copilot. So this allows just some quick steps in order to insert that in so Ashton can take a look at this. So Copilot looks at the document, adds this to here. If this looks all right, I can go ahead and send this. If you drop down, notice that we can have the person edit, review, view, or can't download. So those are just some options that you have. So I can go ahead and send this now, and then they will get invited to this docs with that comment. If I go check Ashton's email now, you can see that I got the message here about the mission report being sent. I can see what was written here. I can go ahead and open this up. Let's go back to our more actions dots right here. So notice when we open this up, at the very top, we can open in a browser, or we can even open in the app. If I go ahead and open in the browser, you're going to see that other people are in this as well. If I look up top, I can see Ashton's in it, and I can see it looks like he's about to do something right here. If you have the paid for Copilot add-in, you're going to get this option right here, show AI actions for this item. I'm going to go ahead and click this. Notice I can quickly summarize, create an FAQ, even create an audio overview. So this is a great thing if you do have access to take advantage of knowing what all your files are and different ways to communicate with them. Now, here's where most beginners go wrong. They go up to create and they go ahead and create a folder, something like the 1990s. Then they make another folder inside it called reports. This creates a deep, messy structures where files get lost. In SharePoint, there's a much better way, metadata or column. We're going to go and start with choice this time, and we're going to click next. I'm not going to worry about a description here, but I am going to make some choices what I want. So the first one's going to be prehistoric. The second, we'll say, let's do medieval, and then we'll add a future choice. You can see how I can keep adding more. And if I wanted to change the color, I can quickly make those adjustments. You will have a few more options that you can play with here, but for me right now, I'm just going to go ahead and hit save. Now, let's go ahead and apply this tag. I'm going to select this file. I'm going to go to details, move down a little bit. You can see the properties for this file. I'm going to click edit all. Now I'm going to drop down. This is what we created, the choice. I'm going to pick medieval and hit save. So it pops up here. Why is this better? Because now I can filter the icon on the column header to say, show me everything. So watch this. If I drop down here, and imagine if I have a lot more files, notice that I can group by mission error, but I can also filter by. When I select this, I can go ahead and select the different tags that I have and apply it so I can quickly find what I'm looking for. And to turn the filter off, just click on the filter here and you'll notice it says filter by one. We can go ahead, uncheck and apply. So what happens if you notice something get deleted? So if I open this file right here and I look at these 10 critical survival rules and I notice, hey, this doesn't look like 10. I think somebody deleted some. What you can do is use version history right inside this. So if I go to more actions, we have version history right here. If I click on this one, it's going to open up and it's going to show me all the modifications in here. If I hover over this last one here, I can go ahead and click restore and I'm going to hit OK. It's just telling me that it's going to replace everything here. So let's go ahead and just close out of this and we're going to open this back up again and you're going to see that all 10 items are there now. Now, the other thing is, and I mentioned this earlier, what happens if something gets deleted? Well, the recycle bin. So I went and deleted that. If I go to the recycle bin now, you're going to see it right in here. If I go ahead and select this and just look up top here, I can restore this. Now, if I go back to my documents, you're going to see it back here. Let's talk about views and filtering inside this library because as this grows, you want to be quick in it. So if I go over here, notice that we have some options. So if we want to change it to maybe a tiles look, we can quickly change this. So you can navigate which way works the best for you. I like it, the little thumbnail that gives you a little idea what everything is here, but it takes up a lot more room. So if I go back, the other thing I want to point out, and I'm not going to use all of these, here's a format view. So if you want some conditional formatting like this or just alternating row styles. So if I click on this, notice now it just makes it a little easier for your eye to follow. I can go ahead and hit save on this. So you can adjust those views to get the best for you. Now the other thing is we can do some quick filtering as well. Before I showed you in this case where we can filter this column, we can go ahead and filter any column by the different ways they show us. We do have some quick filtering up top. So if I click any of these icons, so if I click the Word this one, it's going to filter by Word. If I go to Excel or PowerPoint, you'll be able to see if I click this one off and just have it on PowerPoint, just this one comes up. So I have to click it again to turn it off and put everything goes back. If I click this filter over here, it's going to open up on the side so you can see how you can search by people, by the type, or even by the dates. So there's lots of different ways to find the files that you're looking for. And don't forget the search. So if you're looking for something, just start typing it in. Here you can see even without typing in, I'm getting all this information, but this will dig down right into the files. So as your SharePoint site grows with lots of documents, remember these different ways to be able to find what you're looking for. Okay. I'm back here on the home page here, and earlier on I showed you how to quickly change a logo or where we want the menu or things like theme color. Now I want to show you how you can modify the page. So what we're seeing when we look at things like news or quick links or documents, here's all our documents that we have quick access. These are all web parts that are in a section on a page. To make any changes, we need to go to Edit. As soon as we click Edit, you'll notice as we hover over any of these web parts here, it will highlight. And if I go ahead and click over here, we can see a section. If I go ahead and click in the section, and I can see right here, we can edit properties. So if I click Edit Properties, I can see that this section that they created for us is going to be 1/3 right. So it looks like a large column down this way with a narrow one on the right. We can modify the current section. So if I click this, you'll see how things get changed around on here. Now, this is one big section that they've have with all these web parts in. There's also design. So if I go to design, I can see if I wanted it instead of white, I can adjust the background to the section. So if I click on this one right here, you can see now how this is updated, and I can see it's just one big section from there. With any of these web parts, like news, if I go ahead and click on these, I'm going to get this right here where I can edit the properties specific for that web part. So if I click on Edit Properties, you'll see that here it shows the top story, or I can change how I want it. Do I want it to be a carousel? And then it's going to be with the images going through, or a hub news. So you can quickly change the layout of these different web parts in here. So if I go to quick links and I go to the edit here, you'll see how you can quickly change the look here. So right now it's under a list. Maybe you want it under film strip, or maybe you want it under tiles. So all these web parts are editable with the layout of how you want it to be. You can see how you can have icon sizes, or any of these. You can have animation, show or hide title, all these different options. Now, when you go ahead and make any changes, you need to republish. So nothing will show up until you republish. I don't want to do that yet because I want to show you a few more things. Now, if I want to go and create a new section, notice that we have the plus. So I can add a new section to this. What do I want? Do I want a flexible 1-column, 2-column? Let's say I'm just going to add a 1-column one now. So this creates a 1-column. You can see I can go ahead and make this collapsible. I can go to my design. What do I want in the background? If I go over to my edit properties, I can still make any changes to it. Now, in this section that I just created, I want to go ahead and add a web part. So if I click on the web part, so add a new web part right here, you can see all the ones that you can add. So right now I'm under all, so I can keep scrolling down. You can see all the different web parts that you can add to any part of the page. So maybe in this case, I want to have a banner across the top because that's a common thing to have on a website. So if I go click banner, now I've added this heading to this. All right, let's take a look at a few options that it gives us now. Notice when we created this, this is just the layout option that starts as a fade where I can adjust it here. Or if I look over here, I can quickly click on different ones to see what I might like. So the other thing that I can do right away is change the heading. What do I want this to be called? So I'm going to go ahead and just type in, "Welcome to ChronoTours HQ." Notice that it does have my name down here because I'm the one that created it. If you don't want it there, you can go ahead and just remove the profile off of that part. So maybe I also want to have some text here, show text block above the title. So what I'm going to do is put this in here. So Global Operations Hub. So we have our title in here. The other thing is, I don't think I just want this fade. I'm thinking more of an image. So I'm going to go up top here and browse the images. Now they have one here. Again, I could do the searching, but I'm going to go and do an upload. I just have this banner here. We're going to go ahead and add this image. Now notice the color's a little off. That's because I'm still under fade. If I go to image and heading, this will go back to what the actual picture is. The other thing I want to point out, and this might not be the best picture to show it on, but there's actually set focal point. So especially if you have maybe a person or something in this image, if I select the image, the focal point, then I can pick a certain part. You can see how this is moving in the preview around. So I can pick, so maybe I want the top right here. I can go ahead and hit save. So now that once it's saved, you can see that this is in that view here. So you can adjust what's being seen. When you have this all set up, you can go ahead, make sure that you republish at this time, because nobody will see any other changes till you republish. And sometimes what happens, people start editing things and then they forget to log out. So making sure that you republish the page after you make any changes. So there we have our banner on our page now. Now, if you want to quickly get other design ideas for this section or this web part, we can go back to edit again. And this is what I want to point out right here. So you got to make sure you have something selected like this banner. And then when I go to design ideas, it's going to show you a few different ones that you might want to change it to. So you can go ahead and maybe if you want something more of a welcome background, you click on it and you can go and choose that. There is the undo or discard changes, so you can see how I can undo it. So I just wanted to point that out. That can save a lot of time with designing, just to look at some of their ideas. I do want to point out this feature right here, add a section using AI, if you have that available. You know, this is kind of hit and miss for me. Sometimes it creates not bad stuff. Other times I could just go ahead and create it myself, but you can go ahead, give it a prompt, or you could use one of the suggestions. So I could go ahead and it fills out the prompt for me, and then I can click generate. You'll see in this case, it will create some pretty simple text if it's pulling off information from the site. I don't have a lot of stuff here, but this is what it created for me just inside this one section here. Nothing too overwhelming. With any of these different ones, you can go ahead and, so if I wanted to add this to the page, I could go ahead and add it, or I can delete it. The other thing I want to point out with web parts, these are all movable too. So as soon as I click any one, this is a move web part. So if I wanted it over here, watch as I drag, now I put it over here. I can move all of these around with the move tool. So I showed you before when we were editing properties, you can also delete the web part here. So if you don't want this, you go ahead and delete it. So everything is set up inside these sections and how many columns, and you can drag them around to wherever you would like. And if you wanted to add a new web part at any time, if I hover over inside this section, you can see this one I can add a web part to. If I want to maybe have a countdown to our next mission, if I start typing countdown, you can see here's a timer. And then if I click on this, so go to the edit properties, you'll see where you can adjust the time to and when it's going to be starting counting down to. So once everything is in place, you can hit republish. Now you've moved some of the web parts around, you've added a section with a banner, and now you have a countdown timer. So very easy to manipulate all these things on a page inside SharePoint. Now I want to show you some new ways you can add content to your site. If I go to new, notice that we can add pages and we can add news posts, and we also have link. This will link to either external sites, but what I want to do is just create a new post right here. The other way I can get to the news post, if we have this web part on right here, news one, if I click add news, this is going to get me to the same thing. And then our news is going to show up in here as well. So let's click add news here, but remember you can go the other way as well. We have some templates here. We can also create from blank if we wanted to. I'm going to use one of these templates. With any of these though, they're editable just like the way I showed you that we were editing a page inside SharePoint. So I'm just going to pick this first one right here, and you can see that this is the way it looks. And this saves you a lot of time if you like the way this looks. So I'm going to click use this template. Now it goes and creates a page for me. So I can go through and edit things the way I want. So maybe the title for this one is New Policy Victorian Era Dress Code Updates. So what I can do with this now, I can go post and send. It is going to say I have to title this page first. So if you notice, I'm going to post and it'll say add a title. So if I hit close, I just have to add a title to this. So we'll call this Victorian Era Dress Code Updates. And I'm just going to leave that as there. So we have our title. Now, the other thing I want to point out before I post and send it, if I go ahead and look down here at the page details at the very bottom, if you want to delete a post, or you can see there's version history as well, I can delete this post if I wanted to right here. But I'm going to go to post and send now. Remember, I could update all the information in here just like I showed you before. Now, the one thing nice here is a lot of people might not always be going to the SharePoint site. So what you can do is put the email in here. So then they're going to get it to their email, and there's more chance then that people will be able to get the updates that way. And you can see how the title's in, and there's the CCC here. So I'm going to go and skip this. I don't need to send a test email for this. So if I go now back to my home page, and what you're going to notice here, if I go down, here is the news. So this is going to show up on the website. So if I click on it, it brings me to the page. And remember, if I click send an email, they're going to get in their email, and then this will bring them to this page as well. Now, maybe you want to add new pages. So you can see right now, our pages are right in here. We haven't created any. It's just these ones here. We have the one news update that we created here that does classify as a page. But when we're here from home, we can go ahead and go new, create a page. There's also this page with AI, and you'll see how you go through it. You just need to describe, but I'm going to go and we're going to create it more from just the template way. So if I go to new page this time, you can see all the templates. Here's the one we used last time. Maybe I want to have a team introduction one, or take advantage of all the different ones that they have here for you. So I'm going to pick about a topic. You can see what it looks like. Use this template. And then we can go ahead and do all the things that we did before with naming. So maybe this time this page was going to be something about the destination guide of ancient Rome. If I go ahead and publish, notice it's not posting anymore like it was to the news article. This is just going to be a page. So when I hit publish again, it's going to go making sure that we title it correctly. So if I just put this as our title, so that's going to be it here. If I click off of it and publish it again, you're going to see now this is going to be a page on our site. So if I go to this over here now, do we want to add this to navigation? I can post this to news on our site. I could share the page. So maybe I want to add it to navigation. So if I click on this, it's now up here in navigation. And I'll show you how you can edit this as well. So if I go back to home, you can see now this is in our navigation. I can go to the pages here, and we're going to see that it's going to be inside here. So here's our ancient Rome page here, and I can open it up from this way, or I can open it from here. Now, if we want to change this menu around at all, maybe we don't want this one placed here, we can go to the edit of the menu, and notice here that we can drag things around. So if I drag this here, notice that this is going to be, now it's underneath it. So as I drag these, I can move this around, and if I hit save, you're going to see this move around. So click edit, you're also going to see the more action dots here. So any of these, I can edit, move up, move down, make it a sublink, or remove it. So if I want it gone, I can go ahead, remove it, and then I can hit save, and it's gone from there. So just different ways you can edit your menus and add new pages to your SharePoint site. Now let's talk about list. And you can see if I go to new, we have list right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click this, and I'm going to give you a little bit of an explanation. So if you're coming from the world of Excel, think of SharePoint list as a living spreadsheet. So in Excel, your data is stuck inside a file. If I open it to edit, you might be locked out. It's static. So a SharePoint list lives directly on the website. So this will mean for collaboration, we can both edit items at the same time without conflicting. It's rich data. I can attach files like recipes directly into a specific row. And automation. So this is the superpower. I can tell SharePoint if this request changes to rejected, email immediately. You can't do that easily with a spreadsheet. Now, here's the different ways we can start our list in SharePoint. We can go from blank, and we can go ahead and create from there and add to it, and that's a great way. We can import from Excel, CSV, or an existing list. But I'm going to use one of these templates because if you haven't used them before, this sets things up nicely and you can still edit things. So I'm going to do this one right here, travel requests, because I have different people going back in time for different travel, so they should request it. So I'm going to go ahead and create this. Now, if I take a look at this, I can see the trip title, reason for travel. I can see all the different headings as I go through. This looks good. It talks about my hotel, the estimated cost. I'm going to go and use this template. I don't think I have to change the name. I'm going to keep this as travel request. Show the list and site navigation. Well, maybe that's good to have it up there. And remember, I can always edit it after. So I'm going to go ahead and put create. Now, if you don't want to use some of these columns, you can hide them. So if I wasn't going to be using an airline in this example, I can go here to column settings. I can do the edit, or I can do the hide this column. So if you did want to change it to something, a different type of column, like I talked about earlier, you can do that, but we can go ahead and click hide. So let's go ahead and add some items to this list now. So I'm just going to go up top and add new item. You can see it's kind of like an entry form. So I'm going to go through this and add some information. All right, so I have some information in here. This person's traveling to New York. Travel start date is 1955. They have to pick up some stuff, and I just put some estimate of the cost. It's going to cost a little less since it's so much less back in time. So I hit save. Now we can see we have the reason, we have the requester, we have the place, the start date, some estimated cost. As I move across here, is it approved yet? You can see it hasn't been approved yet. Now, I just went and added another example here. If I was going to go and get one of these to approved, if I just double click on them, you're going to see how this opens up here. And if I go down, here is the approve or not approve. So if I click on it and click yes, then if I exit out, you can see how this is approved. And then again, like I showed you before, how you can filter everything. So we can filter from yes or no. So we can see specifically who's been approved or who's not. And if we have a long list, you can see how important that can be. Now, I do want to point out some other things that we're not going to be covering right now, but this is just getting started with Microsoft Lists to see what the power can do here. But we go up here, we can see we have forms of automation that we can do, whether it be using flows or rules, quick steps, or even configure the approvals. So just some other things that even can make this much more powerful. So we have our documents here in this library, like we've worked on and set up, and I've showed you and explained how to do that. But you can create more than one document library. So a common question I get is, why do I need to create a new library? Can't I just make a folder called photos inside my main documents? Well, you can, but here's why you shouldn't. Think of SharePoint site like a house. You know, your main documents library is your home office. It's set up for paperwork, contracts, and reports. It has columns for mission error or review status. If I throw a bunch of photos or videos in there, those text-based columns don't make sense for a JPEG image. A photo doesn't have a real review status. It's a resolution or a photographer. But by creating another separate media library, so that we're about to do, we're building a studio. So it's a dedicated room with different rules, different columns, and even different site permissions. So you don't keep your lawnmower in the silverware drawer. You don't keep marketing videos in your contracts folder. So if we go up to new, you can see there's new document library. And you have some different ways you can do this. You can, again, go from blank or existing. But what I like what they have here is they have some templates for you. And I'm going to use this one right here as media library. So maybe we're collecting images in our time travel or videos and we need a place to house them. So you can see how everything is set up cleanly here. Again, we can edit, hide our different columns here, but we're going to have the thumbnail image come up. So I'm going to go ahead and use template. Now, we can go ahead, change the name, add the description. Do I want this in our menu, navigation? I'm going to say yes for all this. I'm just going to go ahead and click create. And now here I have my new library that I can add my media to. And if you want to connect a web part to this specific library, I'm going to go back to home. And you can see here, this is where I have the documents library. If I go and edit this, and we're going to go to here and click our edit properties. Notice here, this is document library that this is coming through. But if I wanted to go to the media library and hit apply, notice how this updates. So now this media library will be that web part. So you can change it to what you want to show that gives that quick access to when people come to the SharePoint site. A great update to SharePoint is the AI agent that you can use to ask questions about all the documents on the site. And I want to point a couple different ways you can get to it. Over here under new, we have agent, but we can also go up top to here. And if we click on this, it's going to open this up on the side. So as it loads up, you're going to see, here's some starter prompts, summarize recent files, tell me about more, how can we help? Let's go ahead and ask a question to this. So are there any big safety concerns about any trips? Let's go ahead and send. And here we go. You can see it answered my question. I didn't have to go through digging through any of the documents to find this. I was able to ask the agent. So before we talked about search and different ways to use filtering, but this AI agent here can save you a lot of time. So you can also see where they're pulling this information from. So I can go and check the actual document to make sure that I can verify everything. Remember before when we were doing some customization at the very beginning and I talked about the brand center? I want to show you how you can do some custom fonts and colors. So we're going to go back up here and we're going to go to site branding. You can see it's new and I'm going to select this. Now, the first thing that we want to do is theme. So what we can do is pick a new theme and we can go and add some colors. So if I go ahead and add a color, and I'm going to do this pretty quickly, but I'm going to go to more of, let's go with this as the one color. Now I add that and you can see I can review my theme here. I can add other colors as well. So if I go add another color, maybe this time I just want something darker. We'll go about here, add. And then it's giving me a preview of how everything looks. So if you get the colors that you want, you can go ahead and click next. So enter a name. Well, I'm just going to call this, let's call this deep space. I'll call this and we'll hit save. So now we have this new site branding. The other thing we can do, and I'm going to have to show you how to upload these font packages because I already set it up through admin, but it's pretty easy to do. So I will show you this after I just show you how you can change it. But if we go new font, and I went and uploaded this one, this Orbitron here, and I'm going to go and change. So it has that futuristic look to it. So I'm going to just choose this as my display font and content font and hit next. And then I can go through and choose the style for if it's going to be a title. Maybe I want this to be an extra bold. And then if it's a headline, I'm going to just choose bold. So, and you can go and play with all these things. The body will just go regular on this one and interactive. And we'll just stay bold. So we'll hit next. So I can enter a name for this one. I'll just call this font. We'll call it the same thing, deep space here. And we're going to go ahead and hit save. All right, you can see now it's the example there is for my font package here. We have our themes. So I'm going to go, let's go back to home here and we can apply this. So if I go back to my settings again, right up top here, and I'm going to change the look. Notice that we have theme and font. So if I'm under theme, here's what I just picked. And notice that's what I called it. So if I have this selected right here, I can go ahead and hit save on this, and I'll show you how we can adjust it. But it's also the font as well, right? So if I go change the look, we can see there's font. And if I drop down here, I can see font deep space. So I can go ahead and pick this, and I can already see how it's changed everything there. So I can go ahead and hit save. Now I'm just going to go ahead and click edit. And just like before, when we're doing edits of different colors, so if I go back here and I'm going to go to the edit the properties and go to design, you can see here's my theme colors that I just created. So if I wanted it to be this one or this one, maybe this is what I created myself. So between the fonts and the colors, you can play with all the different ways that you've chosen. So go and set up your own. But let me show you what you have to do from the admin end now. I'm just back to my Microsoft 365 Copilot app. I'm going to go to my apps and I'm going to go to my admin. Once I'm in admin, there's just a few places I need to go. I'm going to go down and click show all. And then I'm going to go click on settings. And I'm going to go down to organization settings here, the org settings, and click on it. And you'll notice that we have brand center right here. So when I click on brand center, the very first time, so I've already clicked mine to approve it. If you haven't done that before, you just have to click something that goes approve. Now, if I take a look at this, here is going to be where I need to upload my documents to, my new fonts. So I go to this one. You can see the brand app is where brand managers upload assets, create packages. I'm going to copy this link and I'm just going to go to a new browser or just a new window and put this in. So you can see I've already uploaded that one font right here, and that's why I can access it. So if you didn't have it, so I went to a place like, I'll go to this one, Google here, and I can go look for, this is Google Fonts, and I can go look for a font. And I was looking for Orbitron before, and this is what it was. So if I click Get Font, and now I can go download. And then if I open up the folder, here's my Orbitron. So I'm just going to go ahead and extract all. I accidentally picked two different ones there, you can see, but I'm under Orbitron. And then all I had to do was go ahead and upload the fonts from here. So if I go back to my brand manager here, and if I just go here, and then I can go ahead and add more, so I can upload. If we go to my downloads where I've just recently opened these ones, and if I go to Orbitron, you can see I can grab the file from here, and I already have uploaded it here, and it's asking me to replace it, so I don't need to do that. But once I upload it to this spot here, then I have access it, or everybody in my organization on that site will have access to that font on it. So that's just how you go about and do that with the custom fonts. Remember at the beginning of the video when I was explaining about what is OneDrive, what is Microsoft Teams, and what is SharePoint. So we have our HQ here, but we also want a spot where we can have a live chat. And that's where we needed the radio, which is Microsoft Teams. So where we're going to go up top to this right here, next steps to improve our site. If we click on this, take a look at this. Add real-time chat. So connect to Microsoft Teams or other collaborative platforms in real time. So I'm going to choose this option here, and we can see chat with your colleagues. This is exactly what I want. Coordinate online meetings. Sounds great. So now at the very bottom, I'm going to click Connect to Teams. Now we have to say what pages, lists, documents do we want tabs in Teams. So you can see here we have our home page. Yeah, sure, that would be good. We have different pages if we wanted. Maybe we want this one too. You can see there are multiple getting selected, and we have different document libraries. So maybe there was going to be the documents here should be already selected by default. So there is recommended ones, but I can go ahead at that point and just go, we're going to add one more travel request and hit add to Teams. All right, so I opened up my Microsoft Teams now, and I can see a new team is added right here, ChronoTours. So if I click General, it brings me over to here. So I don't have any post in, but this is where I can go ahead and start a conversation, post in the channel. If I go over to Shared, we can see that doesn't look like anything's in here, but if I go back one level, we have documents, and this shows you where all the information that we were uploading. This is exactly what's in our SharePoint site. So if I click on the Victorian era dress, you'll be able to see here's the exact page that got created in the SharePoint that we now see inside here. So just with that quick click, we're able to take what we saw over in the SharePoint, and now we have it in Teams. We can access our files and have quick conversations and meetings in live time. And if you're looking for other ways to have a conversation inside the SharePoint without using Microsoft Teams, we have the conversation tab right here. If I click on it, remember, this is going to go and open up your group that you're in. So if I was going to go ahead and send a new mail, this is going to go to the group of 3 members here, and I can use my Outlook here with this specific SharePoint site connected. So look what we built today, ChronoTours HQ. We organized files with metadata, secured them with permissions, tracked data with lists, and built a homepage. My final piece of advice covers governance, which is just a fancy word for keeping things tidy. Don't let your site become a digital junkyard. Every few months, review who has permissions to the site and archive old mission files you don't need anymore. Let me know in the comments what else you would like to learn in SharePoint next. Thanks for watching this week on Teachers Tech. I'll see you next time with more tech tips and tutorials.